Zoro, master of the triple K style, the katana, popping through the KKK. He's going nuts with that ability. That's where we left off last time. Luffy and Zoro end up teaming up after Luffy says, "All right, Kobe, you can't join me." And then he says, "Why?" He says, "I don't want you to be a part of my crew because you want to be a Marine. You want to be an op. And honestly, that's haram. Haram, yes, right. I can only eat halal. I can't have any pork on my crew because no bacon is allowed. Sorry, so get out of here. I don't want to disrespect Islam," and punches them in the face, thus showing that's because Crunchyroll is actually owned by Israel. A little bit of an issue there. I probably didn't know that. A little bit of thing there. The IDF is going nuts with Luffy fighting for the Holy Land now. We're going to get into that later. What's more important is that Luffy and Zoro are now on one team, one squadron, one grow. They go to the next moment, and we enter Orange Town. Oh, very basic name. The moment Luffy crash lands into a dog's food bowl, we know we've entered a different kind of story. This one's emotional, heartfelt, tugging at your heartstrings. It is a ruinous town. It's held hostage by a clown with bombs. And I know a bunch of clowns with bombs in the government right now. Basically, Buggy D Clown pops up and he says, "All right, guys, I got the ability that's completely opposite of Luffy's. While Luffy can't take any punches, I can't get cut by anything. So Zoro can't touch him. So Zoro can't do anything." He says to himself, obviously, he's not a man of color, but he is a pirate. I can't really take him out. Probably try to fight somebody else. So Zoro's trying to figure out a way to be racist, but he is now figuring out that he is fighting against the inverse of Luffy, a man whose power outpaced his character. A former crewmate of Gold D. Roger, Gold Roger, turned sideshow tyrant. And when you look past the nose, which that's actually his nose, by the way, he actually points out and says, "This is actually my nose." And Luffy says, "You look stupid." Look past his gags, you see a man broken by the shadow of legacy. You see, you would assume if he was on the Pirate King's crew that he would be powerful, he'd be amazing, but nope. He just made nuclear warheads. That's it. That's all he did. Why is he making nuclear warheads? Who knows? It was pretty cool. He thought it'd be funny. See, Buggy is hilarious. He is the funniest character I've ever seen in my entire life. He is hysterical because tragedy clings to him like grease paint. He isn't a monster at all. He's a wannabe. He wants to be feared, remembered, revered, but he's still chasing the ghost of Roger. Why, you may be wondering to yourself, why he's hunted by the fact that Shanks, the guy he mocked, is closer to greatness. Why? Buggy took to the same sea, same ship, same potential, became a joke. Why does he do that? Because he's still chasing. He's still chasing. He lives in the East Blue because he's chasing his old captain. He's living deeply in the past, clinging on to Captain John's treasure and trying to do everything in his power to become greatness incarnate. But he can't. Doesn't have that ability, doesn't have that power. He doesn't. So he builds his empire on fire and laughter, holding a town hostage just to feel something. Just to feel like a somebody. His clown act is a mask worn over his failure to not be able to be there with the greats of his era. He doesn't have the power to do so because he doesn't know. He has no idea. But then Luffy pops up. Luffy appears and asks a simple question that you ask anybody as a shonen protagonist. He says, "You must be the main villain of the arc. My goal is to beat your butt." Luffy is a real pirate. Doesn't even have a bounty. Not even that. Doesn't have one yet. He refuses to perform. He doesn't posture, doesn't dialogue, doesn't demand worship. He just is. He just is him. And Zoro is debating to himself saying, how do I possibly, there's no way I can possibly, I gotta figure out how to do this. This is ridiculous. It's disgusting. And that's what makes Buggy furious. Because Luffy, like Shanks, carries power without insecurity. He's the kind of pirate Buggy can't become, and he knows it. But Buggy is the greatest pirate of all time, so he doesn't care. So when Luffy punches Buggy for laughing at Shanks, this is just generational correction. Now, what I want to talk about is a little dog. Now, Zoro is part cop, so naturally he wants to beat the dog within an inch of his life. But Cho-Cho, I believe the dog name is Cho-Cho, the dog, this is where Oda rips out your heartstrings early. He tries to get you with some emotional nonsense. See, a dog defending his dead owner's pet shop from pirates is for memory. It's not for revenge or food. That single image of a dog in front of a burning building, that has so much backstory and plot point. It has more backstory than any single character in Solo Leveling. It's beautiful. It says more than most shonen manga manage in arcs. It's about loyalty. It's about grief. It's about how even the smallest, weakest creature can resist tyranny in quiet, devastating ways. And Luffy sees this. Luffy doesn't pity the dog. He respects him. And in that moment, you realize what kind of captain he's going to be. He takes the little guy and makes it important. That's why Zoro is a direct opposite. Zoro values strength. Zoro values the ability to be oppressive and tyrannical and destroy people using the power of the Triple K style. That's what it is. That's the power of it. It's beautiful. It's fun. I know I'm jumping all over it, but I'm doing this by how I remember it. I'm just going to talk about how important Buggy's defeat is because Luffy is breaking down a myth. In this instance, when he defeats Buggy, he tears down the myth. He exposes him, liberates the entire town from fear and from Buggy. Luffy's power is about liberation. He is accidentally a freedom fighter, doesn't want to be a hero. That's what he is. And I just enjoy that a lot. But now I'm going to talk about Nami. Nami is a thief, a scoundrel, a liar. She's disgusting. I hate her and she deserves death. I think she deserves to get hung by her toenails. I think she deserves to get a beat within an inch of her life. I think that she deserves nothing good in this lifetime. She is everything One Piece isn't supposed to be. Suspicious, secretive, selfish. She steals. She manipulates people. And yet somehow she's magnetic. Wanna know why she's magnetic? Because she is the first woman that actually people care about in the show. Now, you may have cared about Alvita, but people don't like big, ugly characters, so people don't care that much. You may have cared about the girl in the beginning of the series at the bar. You may have thought about that because Shanks was clapping at it behind the scenes. But what matters here is that Nami pops up, and everybody says, all right, she's going to pop up and do this. Now, she, much like Zoro before her, she hates pirates. She doesn't act like a pirate. She hates pirates. That contradiction hangs over everyone like a foghorn. Why is she here? Why is she around? Well, this is the important thing about Nami. She loves money. She's a gold digger. She is a snow bunny. And that is the one thing Zoro hates the most. He says, snow bunny. So you want to get with men with money and you like blacks? And she says, well, it depends. If they have a black card, he said, a black card? A card that's black is ridiculous. Zoro and Nami are having a feud and a spat, and he's upset. And Luffy gets captured, and then Nami says, "That's my old captain." And Luffy said, "Oh, we on the same team? Didn't know that. I forgot I recruited you. We on the same team." Luffy's stupid. He had no clue. He's a dummy. So Nami says, "Well, yeah, we've been on the same team. We were on the same team. I remember we grew up together." Luffy said, "Yeah, we grew up together. I remember you saved me from a pack of wild beavers. I remember that. Remember when you didn't?" All right, shut up now. You're doing too much. Yeah, but he's my captain. I'll betray him and do him. Buggy says, "Oh, you'll betray him, eh?" Launch his buggy ball at him. The nuclear warhead. Launch that at him. Oh, I guess all right, buggy ball. BB, big balls, buggy ball. Hit him with it. And Nami doesn't trust Luffy at first. She uses him and he lets her. Because Luffy doesn't care. Luffy knows he's the main villain or the main character of the entire show. Luffy knows that he has plot device relevance. He knows that he can't die. He knows that the show needs him to continue. And he believes he's like Steven Universe. The plot doesn't happen unless he's there. He says, I'm good. I get it. I can see through people. I know what's up. And he knows that with the power of rubber, no matter what happens, all the karma is going to bounce back because that's how he thinks his power works. Luffy has this uncanny ability to know the difference between a villain and a survivor because he can hear the voice of all things. That's the power of Martin Luther Jinbei. Martin Luther Jinbei exists within Luffy, but he doesn't know Jinbei yet. He doesn't know who that is. He has no idea who that person is, but he can feel it coursing throughout his body. It's hitting him inside of his brain. But Nami isn't evil. She's cornered. She's running a game. And while she acts like she's chasing treasure, what she's really chasing is freedom. Not the vague freedom Luffy talks about, the real kind. Real kind. The kind that comes from surviving debt, trauma, blood-soaked promises. She's doing her best. Every move Nami's makes is strategic, but Zoro doesn't understand that because he heard the word black card and thought he meant black people, but Zoro's stupid too. And that's why Luffy and Zoro get along so well because they both dummies. Every single lie Nami tells is simply a stitch that we have yet to see yet. It's beautiful. You start to see her not as a traitor, but as someone living with a clock ticking in her chest. You don't know why yet. You can understand that something important about this character is building up to a big culminating moment, but that's where Oda sets the trap. See, Oda wanted us to hate Nami a little bit, wanted her to be a little bit deceiving, and wanted us to have a little bit of doubt in Luffy, but you can't doubt our captain. See, Oda is engineering us, training us, grooming us to have faith in Luffy the same way his crew has faith in him, because he's showing how Luffy makes his decisions based on not just instinct but on a knowing that he cannot describe. That's what it is. Because Nami's not introduced as a love interest or a damsel or somebody with a fat rack. No, she is a thief of money, of trust, and yet he builds her like a lead character. He knows we'll follow her even if we don't understand her yet, because deep down we want to understand her. Luffy doesn't flinch, doesn't chase her, doesn't judge. He just says, "Oh, she'll come back. Don't worry. She'll get it." Understands. Because Nami is a genius, a cartographer, a navigator, a woman building maps while struck in a maze of her own trauma. And Otis gave us breadcrumbs, a line about Arlong, a scar that's never shown, a betrayal that hasn't happened yet. And in doing so, he turns Nami into something rare, something you've never seen before in Shonen. A female lead whose strength comes not from brawn, but from burden. This burden is what defines her character. It's what defines everything. And the matches we get are really cool. We got Luffy doing animal abuse against a tiger. That's always fun because Luffy loves abusing animals. We're going to see a lot of animal abuse from Luffy because Luffy will fight anything. Luffy loves abusing women, children, animals, committing crimes all around because he believes in the freedom, because the hammers of justice are unisex. He is evil. This man is pure evil. That's why Zoro understands that his discrimination is undiscriminatory. It's beautiful. He discriminates against everybody equally. So Zoro is naturally confused because he's lost his way, because he is a wandering Ronin. That's why he gets lost so much. He gets lost in his own vision and lost in his own sauce. He doesn't know what's happening. And then what happens is they tie up Buggy's body. And then Luffy kicks him in the nuts. Luffy kicks him in the nuts and he says, "Boom, I don't want you to have any more kids because your nose is disgusting." The reason he hits him in the balls is because he's trying to stop his sperm from ever procreating. He doesn't want his sperm to ever populate this in any capacity. That's why he hits him right square in the nuts. And Buggy lets out a noise. Oh, boom, pain going throughout his entire body. It's the worst pain he's ever felt in his entire life. He doesn't know how to feel. He's having a horrible time because he gets hurt by physical blows. And Zoro finally has a moment to be a little racist. He says, "Oh, you're on a unicycle, eh?" "Yes, I am on a unicycle." And he's fighting against a Frenchman. He says, "A Frenchman? Oh, that's a minority to me." And Zoro turns up. But it's a really hard fight for Zoro because he's having a hard time justifying his racism. He says, "All right, you stabbed me. Is that enough of a handicap for you? I'm going to show you why I have the power of black people behind me and I've appropriated their culture." He puts on that do-rag and kills the unicycle man. Cabbage. I think his name is Kabaji, but I'm going to call him Cabbage. Boom, takes him out. Who cares about the lion tamer? I love how Buggy's crew is very circus themed, despite the fact that it shows that he thinks himself a joke. Very interesting because he doesn't like people laughing about his nose, which is quite interesting. I love how intimidating he also appears when he first popped up, because he is generally just a joke. He is actually just a joke of a character chasing after the ghost of his own past, trying to live in the glory days of the past. But that's pretty much going to do it for Orange Town right now. That's all I got to say about that. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. All right. Well, that's all I got. See you guys another day for, I believe next is Usopp. I gotta say about Usopp. So, peace. I'm your nigga night, be my loyal slow. Ooh, happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you